Hello, everyone, and welcome to another installment of Tim and Tom's Film Nights. We have a real treat for you tonight, boys and girls. We're diving into the world of action-packed comedies with Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F. Now, before we get started, I must say that my esteemed co-host Thomas has not yet seen this gem of a film. So buckle up, folks. It's going to be an interesting ride.
Oh, hello there, Timothy, and welcome to all the viewers out there. I can already tell we are in for an interesting discussion tonight. So, Timothy, what do you have to say about this Beverly Hills Cop thing? Have they finally given a role to a real American actor?
Sigh, Tom, it's called Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F., not Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F. And, no, Eddie Murphy is still playing his iconic role of Axel Foley. But enough about that. Let's get to the plot of this film, shall we?
Oh, right. Sorry, my bad. So what's this plot about again?
Well, the story picks up after the events of Beverly Hills Cop 3rd, which I know you haven't seen either, Em, but that doesn't matter. Anyway, Axel Foley is now a retired cop living in Beverly Hills with his new wife, played by a very attractive Taylour Paige. But when his old friend, played by Judge Reinhold, who also happens to be the new chief of AM police, comes knocking on his door asking for help, Axel can't say no. Seems like there's a new threat in town, led by a sinister villain, played by Kevin Bacon. Mm-hmm. Now, I know what you're thinking, Tom, but this is a family show. Anyway, Axel teams up with his old partners from the lab, played by John Ashton and Paul Reiser, to investigate and stop this evil mastermind before he causes havoc in Beverly Hills. The duo embarks on a hilarious journey filled with action, comedy, and plenty of car chases, all while trying to solve the case and save the day.
Now, what do you think about that?
Well, it sounds like a typical buddy cop movie with a sprinkle of action and comedy, but I have to admit, Kevin Bacon as the villain? That's interesting. And this Taylour Paige character, she's just eye candy, or does she actually contribute anything to the plot?
Oh, don't be so shallow, Thomas. Taylour Paige plays a crucial role in the film as Axel's wife and provides much-needed support and comic relief throughout their adventures. Now, let me ask you something. Do you think they managed to capture the essence of the original Beverly Hills Cop movies with this sequel?
I honestly don't know, Timothy, since I haven't seen any of the previous ones. But judging by your excitement, it must have done something right. Is it worth me investing my time in watching the whole franchise before we continue this discussion next time?
Well, that's a good question. While Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. stands alone, fine as its own movie, I would still recommend you watch at least Beverly Hills Cop and Beverly Hills Cop second to fully appreciate the references and callbacks in this film. But that's for another time. Let's focus on Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F. right now.
Fine. I'll add it to my watch list. Now, Timothy, can you please share with our viewers some behind-the-scenes tidbit about the making of this film? Something juicy and interesting that we didn't see on screen?
Well, Thomas, it seems you're always after some juicy gossip. There was actually a bit of controversy surrounding one particular scene in the film. Now, I won't reveal too much here, but let's just say there was some disagreement between the director and the studio. Executives about how much violence should be included in a PG-13 movie. Apparently, Mark Malloy, the director, wanted to push the boundaries a bit more, but the higher-ups were concerned about the film's rating. As you can imagine, there was some tension on set during filming of that particular sequence. However, I think they managed to strike a balance between action and appropriateness for the target audience. Moving on to something slightly less controversial. Did you know that Kevin Bacon actually spent months preparing for his role as the villainous Mr. Redacted? He immersed himself in the character's twisted mindset by reading psychological thrillers, and even consulted with a former FBI agent to bring authenticity to his performance. The attention to detail paid off, as many viewers found themselves genuinely terrified of Bacon's portrayal of evil, in addition to the intense preparation for their roles. The cast and crew also faced some challenging filming locations. Many of the action sequences were shot on real streets in Los Angeles, which caused quite a traffic jam during peak hours. To minimize disruption, the production team opted for filming mostly during the early morning hours or late at night when the city was relatively quiet. Despite these hurdles, they managed to capture some breathtaking aerial shots of the cityscape that truly showcase the beauty and chaos of life. So, Thomas, what do you think about these behind-the-scenes tidbits? Are you more eager to watch Beverly Hills Cop, Axel, if now that we've revealed some of the secrets behind the scenes?
Well, Timothy, these behind-the-scenes tidbits do pique my interest a bit. It's always fascinating to see how much work goes into creating something that seems effortless on screen, and I can appreciate the challenges of filming in busy city areas like Los Angeles. But let me get back to what we were originally talking about. The script and direction of Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. I must say, while the action sequences were well executed and kept me on edge throughout the movie, I found the plot to be a bit predictable. The typical good versus evil narrative with cliché characters didn't really offer anything new or innovative. Don't get me wrong, it was entertaining, but it didn't leave me wanting more from a storytelling perspective. However, I did appreciate the chemistry between Axel and his wife, played by Taylour Paige. Their banter and playful arguments felt genuine and added some much-needed lightness to the otherwise dark and gritty storyline. As for the villain, portrayed by Kevin Bacon, while he was indeed menacing, I wish there had been more depth explored in his motivations or backstory. He simply came across as a generic bad guy with no redeeming qualities. Overall, Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. is an action-packed movie that delivers on thrills and adrenaline rushes. But when it comes to its storytelling and character development, it falls short of expectations set by other classic action movies. It's a decent watch if you're looking for a mindless escape from reality, but don't go in expecting a masterpiece that will challenge your intellect or stir up deep emotions. So, Timothy, do you agree with my assessment of the film? Do you have any particular scenes or moments that stood out to you as exceptional?
Oh, I see where you're coming from, Thomas. I must admit that Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F. doesn't reinvent the action genre by any means. However, it does deliver on what audiences expect from an action movie, a thrilling ride filled with explosions, car chases, and fight scenes. And speaking of the cast, let's talk about Eddie Murphy's performance as Axel Foley. Despite being in his 70s at the time of filming, he still managed to pull off some incredible stunts that left me breathless. His chemistry with Taylour Paige as his wife, too, was palpable on screen. Their banter-fueled arguments added a much-needed touch of levity to the otherwise gritty plot. As for Judge Reinhold and John Ashton reprising their roles as detectives Redacted and Redacted respectively, they brought a sense of nostalgia and familiarity to the story. Their aging characters felt genuine and relatable, adding another layer of depth to the film. Now, let's not forget about Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Detective Redacted, who joins Axel and his team in their quest to take down Mr. Redacted. His character starts off as a by-the-book cop who gradually loosens up and learns the importance of trusting your gut instinct, something Axel Foley has always been known for. Taylour Paige's portrayal of Redacted also deserves mention. She brings a much-needed dose of humanity to the film, grounding Axel and providing him with a rock-solid foundation to return to after each intense action sequence. But as we mentioned earlier, cultural significance is something that should be considered when evaluating any piece of art. Beverly Hills Cop. Axel F's portrayal of Los Angeles as a melting pot of cultures and races adds another layer of complexity to the story. The film showcases the city's diverse population including its Asian American community, which is often underrepresented in mainstream media. Furthermore, the film tackles important themes such as immigration, police brutality, and corruption topics that are still relevant today. So, Thomas, while Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F may not be a cinematic masterpiece, it does deliver what action fans crave: thrills, suspense, and memorable characters played by an all-star cast. The film's cultural significance cannot be overlooked either. It's a fun popcorn flick that provides much-needed escapism from the realities of life. What do you think? Do these factors sway your opinion at all?
Well, Timothy, while I appreciate your defense of Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F's cultural significance, I still stand by my previous statement. The film fails to deliver on several fronts, including its cliched plot and lackluster character development. As for the portrayal of Los Angeles as a melting pot of cultures, it feels more like a tourist brochure than an authentic representation of the city's diverse landscape. It's important to remember that art should provoke thought and stir emotions, something this film simply doesn't do. Don't get me wrong, there are some entertaining moments, but they're not enough to make up for the film's shortcomings in terms of storytelling and character depth. I'm afraid I'll have to give Beverly Hills Cop, Axel F, a disappointing 5 out of 10 stars. But let's not dwell on the negative, Timothy. Let's shift gears and talk about our next movie review. We've been meaning to watch that new rom-com everyone's been raving about. You know, the one with Redacted and Redacted? It's supposed to be a tearjerker, but in a good way, of course. So, Timothy, have you had a chance to see it yet? What did you think?
Well, Thomas, we seem to have different opinions on this one, but that's what makes our discussions so interesting, right? I agree. Let's move on to our next movie review. As you mentioned, there's a new rom-com everyone's been raving about. And I must say, I was pleasantly surprised by how well it managed to tug at the heartstrings without being overly cheesy or cliche. The chemistry between Redacted and Redacted is appreciable on screen, making their characters' love story feel authentic and relatable. While I wouldn't call myself a diehard romance fan, this film managed to strike the perfect balance between humor and heartfelt moments that had me tearing up. So, Thomas, have you watched it yet? What do you think about Redacted playing the role of Redacted?
Timothy, you know I'm not a big fan of romance films, but since you insist, I will say that, after watching the trailer, the film does seem to have some potential. The actors do seem to have some chemistry, and if it can avoid falling into cliché pitfalls, then maybe there's something worth watching. As for Redacted's performance as Redacted, I think he's a talented actor, so even if the story falls short, his portrayal might just save it from becoming unwatchable. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've still got some movies to discuss, don't we? So, before we wrap up today's episode of Tim and Tom's Film Nights, I'd like to remind our viewers to comment, subscribe, and share this video with your friends and family who love film as much as we do. And remember to join us tomorrow for more in-depth discussions about the latest releases and classics alike. Until then, have a fantastic day-night, everyone.